All right, guys, welcome to episode number 23 of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 series with the Chicago Cubs. It is September 1st, and we are playing 667 baseball, 96 and 48 so far. We are 22 games up in the Central, and we did actually end up making a move at the trade deadline. I told you guys that I was going to look for an opportunity to make the team better, and I did that. So I did some looking, and we ended up making a trade with the Detroit Tigers. We sent the big name here was Sandy Alcantara, Richard Gallardo, Victor Mesa, and a couple of other minor leaguers to Detroit for Casey Mize. So let's start with what's going to Detroit. Alcantara was a bit of a I mean, I didn't want to give him up, but he's making almost twice as much as Mize. Mize is a bit younger, and frankly, he's better. So to get that opportunity, I felt I needed to jump at it. He pitched pretty well for us, 112 hits, 128 Ks, 127 innings. His BABIP was a little light, but his ERA plus was high. He was good for 2.5 WAR through only 22 starts. Um, Gallardo and Mesa, just a couple of young prospects. Um, Gallardo had not pitched well in AAA for us. It looks like Detroit already called him up. He's pitching pretty well for them so far in the big leagues. Victor Mesa, we got in a deal a couple years back. I think it was in the Sixto Sanchez deal. He's hitting really well for Detroit, 395 in 14 games. Had hit pretty well for us in AAA as well. So, but again, I talked about this in the last episode. We had a lot of, I don't want to call it middling depth, but we had a lot of players that were, 3-star, maybe 2.5, 3-star potential players, and this is the opportunity to use it. So we pick up Casey Mize. Mize is a 28-year-old. Excellent control, 4 great pitches, good stuff, good movement. You can see a little up and down for us so far, but I mean, really, if you look at his peripherals, the issue is the home runs. He's giving up 2.5 home runs per 9 innings, but he's got an 8.8. He's 35 strikeouts, only 4 walks, so he's at almost a 10-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio. And so he's going to move in. He moves immediately into our rotation, which now looks like this: Marquez, Sanchez, Ryan, Mize, and Singer. It's a pretty solid 1 through 5. Our bullpen remains the same. We are at expansion now, so we're going to call a couple players up, and then we'll take a look at the stats and kind of go from there. So I think I want to bring up maybe another infielder and a pitcher. So is there a particular pitcher? Sorio's done pretty well, but I really just want to leave him in the minors all year. But his numbers have peaked. It's time to call up Osorio. Let's give him a shot. And then second and short. I guess it doesn't really matter. Maybe somebody who's got a little pop in his bat. Maybe we bring up Castellano, give him an opportunity to get some pinch hitting. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so Osorio is going to become a middle reliever slash what? Slash long relief, I guess. And we'll get him some time there. And then on the back end, I don't know. It doesn't matter really. He's not going to play much. Yeah, they put him in as the 4th pinch hitter. That's fine. So, all right, let's take a look at. Let's take a look at the lineups. So Mookie Betts, 7.3 WAR on the season, up to 36 home runs, 94 RBIs, 126 runs scored, 331, 411, 616, 1,028 OPS, 160 OPS plus, just having an absolutely monster season. Rafael Devers has had a great second season for us, 48 doubles, 33 home runs, 105 runs knocked in, 107 runs scored, 304, 376, 587, 963 OPS, 6.2 WAR. Jason Dominguez continues his breakout season for us with an 827 OPS, good for 3.1 WAR, 23 home runs. Nick Gonzalez continues to just put up consistent season after consistent season. You know pretty much what you're going to get at this point. 280 to 290 average, 350-ish on base percentage, anywhere from a 440 to a 470 slugging, and really solid defense. So he's a 3-win player. Bo Naylor has really bounced back after a difficult start to the season. 12 home runs, but really great on base percentage out of my catcher, 370, giving him a 797 OPS, and even chipping in with a little speed. Javi Baez, he's doing just fine. 25 home runs, 67 RBIs. This is what I want out of Javi. Now that he doesn't have to be the main run producer, he can just sit in that 6 or 7 hole and just bang home runs and bang balls off the ivy all season long. Austin Meadows has had a really nice couple of months since coming back from injury. Look at his batting splits. July 291 with a 912 OPS. August 284 with a 969 OPS. 9 home runs last month. So he's back with a vengeance. Average is a little light, but that's okay. 342 on base, 521 slugging, 863 OPS. He's getting it done. Dorian Gonzalez, only OPSing 681, but he's a 1.4 win player. Again, we talk about this every month, but basically because of his defense. So that was a deal that we made in the offseason that I'm very pleased with. Eric Pena's really starting to come along. 10 home runs in limited playing time, slugging almost 500, putting up an 842 OPS. We're going to have some decisions to make in the offseason if he continues to press our hand like this. Deshaun Knowles having a really nice year, 828 OPS. Alvarez in the backup catcher role, doing just fine as a rookie. Andrew Vaughn slipped a little bit, but still sitting at an 800 OPS, thanks in large part to a 360 on-base percentage. Gutierrez, 11 home runs in 87 games. I mean, he's doing just fine as a backup corner infielder. Couldn't ask for more. On the pitching side of things, man, where do we start? Our pitching staff has just been amazing this year. Sixto Sanchez, 13-4 with a 5.4 WAR. He's averaging over a strikeout an inning, giving up less than a home run per 9, 5.8 Ks per walk. German Marquez, 18-3, averaging just under a strikeout an inning, 5.2 WAR. Brady Singer having a great year out of the 5-hole. We're paying him $1 million this year, and he's 13-6 with a 3.77 ERA, 2.7 WAR. Just doing a great job. Showed you Casey Mize's numbers. Joe Ryan, his first year with us, 173 innings, leads the team in strikeouts. Good for a 3.85 ERA. Opponents are only hitting a 2.26 off of him. 9.7 Ks per 9. Good for 2.5 WAR. Michael Baez in what will likely be his last season as a Cub, as I mentioned this last time, but he's asking for starter money, which we will not give him. So he's making it memorable. 60 games, 71 innings, 105 strikeouts, 13.2 Ks per 9. Good for a 2 WAR season out of the bullpen. Caleb Ferguson, really nice bounce back season, 30 saves in 58 games. And we'll go through the rest of these. You can just kind of take a look at the rest of these guys, and we'll go more into depth at the end of the season. I don't want to spend too much time there now when we're just going to come back in and do it again in a month. So we look at the standings. AL East, Toronto Blue Jays running away with the East, an 11-game lead over Tampa. AL Central being led by Cleveland, 84 and 66-game lead over the expansion Memphis Colonels. And in the West, we got a three-team race. The Angels defending World Series champions with a one-game lead over the Mariners and the Astros, who are tied at 84 and 60. Over in the National League, a great race in the NL East. Marlins with a half-game lead over the Braves, one-game lead over the Nationals. Talked about the Central already, and the Dodgers with a four-game lead over the Diamondbacks. So I'm going to go ahead and sim through till the end of the regular season. We'll run through our team stats. We'll look at the league leaders. We'll look at who made the playoffs, and we'll look at their home pages so you can kind of get a feel for how those teams did and what we might be looking at in the postseason. And if anything else happens, I will obviously bring it to your attention. So for you guys, it'll be just a minute. For me, it'll be about 30 or 40 minutes. So we'll see you in a sec. All right. All right. It is the end of the season, and it was a successful one to say the least, as the Chicago Cubs finished the year 109 and 53. It wasn't all sunshines and rainbows, though. As you can see here, we lost German Marquez for the rest of the season and the playoffs. He finishes his year 18 and 3 with a 2.38 ERA, 5.2 WAR. He got hurt in his first start of the month. He was shut down with an arthritic elbow, which is really scary considering what we're paying him for the next 4 years. So we're going to have to rely on Sanchez, Ryan Mize, and Singer in the postseason, which is still a really, really good 1-4. So still pretty confident in our team's ability to go far in the postseason. So let's take a look at the standings and see where we stand, who made it. So the Toronto Blue Jays win the American League East with a 95 and 67 mark, outdistancing Tampa Bay by 14 full games. Take a look at the Blue Jays homepage. Pretty solid offense, pretty good starting pitching. Their bullpen had a bit of an issue, but they were led by Vlad Guerrero with his 36 home runs. Orelvis Martinez, 35 home runs and 105 knocked in. Seth Beer with another 30 home run season. I always like Seth Beer in these games. He always plays out better than his ratings, and he's doing that again here. So 3 straight years of at least 30 home runs for Mr. Beer. Rowdy Tellez, 37 home runs, 104 RBIs. Flaherty and Pearson as their 1-2 is pretty solid. Flaherty had a nice bounce back season for them. It's not where I wanted to go. Cleveland Indians win the AL Central, 94 and 68. 5 games over the expansion Memphis Colonels. Offense was pretty good. I mean, it was up and down the lineup. There wasn't anybody who really blew you away. I mean, Jake Bauers, 333 home runs, 99 RBIs out of the 8 spot. Francisco Lindor, he's starting to slip, but still hit 26 home runs. Jose Ramirez getting up there as well, but he hit 23 homers. So, yeah, I mean, up and down the lineup, they did pretty well, but there's nobody there that really really knocks your socks off, so to speak. They did it with a pretty solid bullpen. Pitching was okay. Daniel Espino, age 24, already 100 stuff, 255 strikeouts and 178 innings. Jesus Gomez and Aaron Civale. So that's their starting lineup for the postseason. I think so. That means the AL West had both wildcard teams. Yep, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Houston. So defending champions went 101 and 61 on the year. Mike Trout, they made the move to stick him in center field as that defense is starting to slip a little bit. 949 OPS, 4.0 WAR. Where does he stand with his career numbers? 516 home runs, 2,100 hits. Yeah, last couple seasons have been a little injury plagued, so that's kind of hindering that shot at 700. He's still probably a shoe-in for 600 home runs and 2,500 hits, but we'll see how it goes. Shohei Ohtani, 44 home runs, 102 RBIs, 11 and 10 as a starting pitcher. Aubrey Major with just an absolutely nutso season, 313, 63 home runs, 148 runs knocked in. Anthony Rendon continues to swing a solid bat, 34, 101, and Lance McCullers led them in wins with 16. Seattle Mariners, 92 and 70 make the postseason. And they did it with pitching. Their offense was pretty bad. Julio Rodriguez, their 24-year-old stud, 38 home runs, 112 RBIs, and Jared Kelenic. Those are kind of their 1 and 2. And Noelvi Marte, 23-year-old shortstop, played really well. Tyler Driver, 14 and 8, 295. Brian Perez and Nick Marvicius. So they had a pretty good pitching staff, first in starters ERA, first in bullpen ERA, first in runs against. So they do it with their pitching staff. And the Houston Astros, 90 and 72, are the second wild card team. And they did it with their offense. As you can see, they had the top offense in the league. Wow, that's just crazy. Yordan Alvarez, 58 home runs, 145 RBIs. Tucker, 42 home runs. Correa, 42 home runs. Michael Conforto, 35 home runs. Altuve hit 323. Abraham Toro off the bench out of nowhere to hit 39 home runs and knock in 104. That's just, they hit 338 home runs. That's more than 2 home runs a game. That's just absolutely crazy. Now, their issue is that they're missing their top 2 starters in Robbie Ray and Forrest Whitley. So can they get it done with a rotation of Brandon Bielak, Juan Then, and Michael Wacha? That remains to be seen. But they can crush. Let's go over to the National League. We'll look at our stats and stuff at the end. Atlanta Braves win the East with a 95 and 67 mark. Mike Soroka, back from his injury last year, 8 and 8, 4.03 ERA. Touki Toussaint, I guess, and Dinelson Lamet make up their starters. They did it. They were really middle of the road across the board, and they somehow still managed to win 95 games. They replaced Mookie Betts with Andrew Benintendi. Acuna hit 41 home runs, drove in 105. Freddie Freeman just continues to rake at age 36 with 31 home runs and 104 RBIs. Freeman is closing in. He hit 2,500 hits next year, so he's got an outside shot at 3,000. Ozzie Albies had a pretty solid season for them. So yeah, they did. They I don't want to say they did it with smoke and mirrors, but yeah, they played pretty well, all things considered. Miami Marlins make the postseason as a wild card, 87 and 75. They also did it with their pitching, as their offense was really, really weak. Alec Boehm, 41 home runs for them, though. Vlade, McKinney, Brinson, and Monty Harrison, all with over 20 home runs. John Duplantier, Asa Lacy, and Trevor Rogers will make out their starting rotation. Old friend Michael Kirian, 12 and 6 as a starter last year, 24 and 6 in 2 seasons as a Miami Marlins. So they have to be pretty happy with that pickup there. Let's take a look. I think the other wild cards out of the West. Yep, Los Angeles wins the West with a 98 and 64 mark. And again, they were, their offense did most of it, but Cody Bellinger, another 60 home run season, 149 knocked in. Josh Bell, 54 home runs, and Gavin Lux at 36. So Yoan Moncada in his first season with Los Angeles, 31 home runs, 87 knocked in. They do have some injury issues. Walker Buehler is still out with a torn rotator cuff. He's basically going to miss his second full season. Basabe will miss the beginning of the postseason. Brennan Davis is hurt. Jamison Tyone is hurt. And Joey Lucchesi is hurt. So they've got some injury issues, but Dustin May, 18-5, was their ace this year. He is good to go, it looks like. And the Arizona Diamondbacks make the playoffs as the second wildcard team. Again, very middle of the road, very good defensive team. Christian Robinson, 42 home runs as a 24-year-old. Wow. I mean, you look at his numbers and you wouldn't suspect that they would relate to that, but 3.6 WAR, 42 home runs, not a bad year for the center fielder. Keston Hiura, in his second season since coming over from Milwaukee, hitting almost 300. Jonathan India, 32 home runs, 94 knocked in. And Jacob deGrom still going strong for them at age 37, goes 18-5. And JB Bukauskas wins 15 games for the D-backs. So let's take a look at our team, shall we? Because that's why we're all here, right? 109-53. We will, like I said, we will be without German Marquez for the rest of the season, which is a shame. So let's start with the lineups. Mookie Betts finishes with an 8.8 WAR, 44 home runs, 114 runs knocked in, 140 runs scored, 413 on base percentage, 630 slugging, 1,042 OPS. I would say he was worth the $20 million we paid him, wouldn't you? Led the league in runs, led the league in hits, in batting average. Mookie was a star this year, as well as playing, I assume, very solid defense out in right. Rafael, I want to see something. Jason Dominguez. I didn't have an error committed out of either my center fielder or my right fielder this year. Rafael Devers, 51 doubles, 36 home runs, 116 RBIs, 118 runs scored. Average dipped just under 300, but that's fine. 939 OPS, 6.3 WAR. Devers was an animal at third. Javi Baez with a really nice season, only 118 games, 30 home runs, 82 knocked in, hit 282, 3.6 WAR, continues to play solid defense himself, just over 1.3 zone rating. Again, I think his Gold Glove days are behind him, but he's still solid enough. Jason Dominguez, breakout season for him, 39 doubles, 26 home runs, 91 knocked in, 274 batting average, 517 slugging, 3.6 WAR, and added 14 steals. Nick Gonzalez ended up at 290, 355, 436. Can't beat that out of your second baseman. 35 doubles, 16 home runs, 80 runs knocked in, 3.5 WAR. Bo Naylor. Average slipped a little bit that month, but still ended up with a 772 OPS, good for 2.5 WAR. Dorian Gonzalez finished at 1.7 WAR in his rookie season. 690 OPS is about what we would expect considering where his numbers were. I expect to see significant improvement over the next couple of years. Austin Meadows struggled pretty significantly that last month of the season. Still finished up with 23 home runs, 60 runs knocked in, and a 794 OPS in 90 games. Eric Pena, again, showed some power as a 22-year-old. 10 home runs, 32 RBIs. Andrew Vaughn came on pretty nicely the second half of the season. Finished up with an 820 OPS, 17 home runs, 33 doubles, 70 walks, 364 OPS. Deshaun Knowles, 802 OPS, 7 home runs, 40 RBIs in only 99 games, so pretty solid there. And then Francisco Alvarez struggled a little bit with the bat, still put up a 713 OPS, good gap power, 21 extra base hits in those 74 games, so I'm pretty happy with my catching situation. On the pitching side, we already talked about Marquez. Sanchez, 15-5. He's our de facto ace now going into the postseason. 5.7 WAR, 194 strikeouts and 188 innings. Casey Mize came over and ended up going 4-2 with a 4.97 ERA in 10 starts. 11 home runs in 58 innings. Again, that was his bugaboo, but it got a little better as the year went on, and I'm pretty happy with him in that 3 spot going into the postseason. Joe Ryan led the team in strikeouts, which is exactly what we expected out of him. 14-9 with a 3.62 ERA, 211 Ks. Brady Singer, 13-9, 3.97 ERA, 2.5 WAR. You can't ask for more than that out of your five spot pitcher. Michael Baez, 73 innings, 3-1, 3.07 ERA, 1.9 WAR. Caleb Ferguson had 36 saves in what was a very nice bounce back season for him. 91 strikeouts in 57 innings, a .96 WHIP. Ryan Jensen had a nice first season, 71 strikeouts in 59 innings as a swingman for us. I will take it. Sir Anthony Dominguez pitched pretty well, 69 strikeouts in 58 innings, good for 1.5 WAR. Taylor Rogers, the lefty we got from Minnesota in the offseason, pretty good, 62 strikeouts in 57 innings as a lefty specialist type guy. Davey Garcia, again, he is our strikeout guy. When we need a strikeout, we go to him. Ended up with a really solid 3.86 ERA and 14.5 strikeouts per 9. Brad Hand pitched okay for us, ended up 7-1, 2.79 ERA. Jared Jones, we brought him up when Marquez got hurt. He got a few starts in, went 1-0. Didn't pitch badly, walked too many. Didn't pitch badly. And then Osorio came in 4 games in the last month of the season, struck out 9 in 6 innings. Let's quickly take a look at the statistics, and then we'll go to the playoffs. So we'll start with the American League. Vlad Guerrero, 335. Miguel Sano hit 67 home runs for Detroit, drove in 139 runs. How many times did Mr. Sano strike out this year? Just out of curiosity. 259 times, and that did not lead the American League. I love baseball. Strikeouts were led by Giancarlo Stanton, who struck out 264 times. Aubrey Major led in both slugging and OPS, as well as RBIs. Royce Lewis led the league in WAR, 7.9 WAR. That's a pretty solid season out of a 26-year-old shortstop. Vlad Guerrero led in hits. Alvarez led in runs scored. Eddie Almaraz led in stolen bases. It looks like he was the center field replacement for Mr. Trout. And Aubrey Major led in pretty much everything else. At pitching, Lance McCullers in wins, Tyler Driver in ERA, Stanley Guzman, who was the number 1 prospect in baseball coming into this season, led the league in losses, 7-17, walked 101 and struck out 201. So he is a fun pitcher to watch. Josh Hader led in saves with 35, Jack Flaherty in WAR, Reynaldo Lopez with Seattle led in innings pitched. Espino, 12.8 Ks per 9 innings. Kind of see everything else. Ricardo Leon led in win percentage. So let's jump over to the National League. German Marquez led in ERA. Jacob deGrom, Marquez, May, and Sharp with Washington all led with 18 wins. Michael Fulmer, 17 losses, tied with Peter Lambert. Jose Alvarado had 42 saves. Ferguson was third there. Sixto Sanchez led in WAR. Jacob deGrom in innings pitched. Garrett Crochet led in strikeouts. Ian Anderson gave up 38 home runs. Marquez led in ERA plus. And the batting leaders in the National League. Batting average was Mookie. Home runs led by Austin Kendrick, a 24-year-old, hit 63 home runs for the Cincinnati Reds this season. Yeah, he's a good one. Cody Bellinger led in RBI, Juan Soto on base percentage, Bellinger in both slugging, OPS, and WAR. Mookie finished second in WAR, third in on base, and fifth in slugging. Mookie led in hits. Bellinger led in runs. Oh, he was tied with Mookie Betts for first in runs scored. Nolan Arenado, 56 doubles. Devers finished third there. Archimedes Gamboa with 12 triples. Monty Harrison struck out 213 times. Old friend Khalil Lee led the league in stolen bases again with 45. Juan Soto, 143 walks. Bellinger with a 182 OPS plus. So a lot of really, really good offensive performances here. So let's go ahead and sim ahead, get the playoffs started, see who we're going to be playing. So we are going to be facing off against the Miami Marlins in the division series as they defeated the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we will play that elimination game next time. So that's going to do it for this episode. As always, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until we talk again, take care. Bye-bye.